Hi there, it's Ricky from Moshful Times here once again. I'm delighted to welcome guitarist Ross and vocalist Josh of Glaswegian band Godeater. By the way, I just have to say, I think that's a brilliant name for a band. Whoever came up with that, it's a brilliant band.
I don't know that anymore.
So Godeater played technical death metal, so that's right up my street. So how are you guys doing? How have you been coping during lockdown? Are you still working and things like that?
I haven't. I'm just back at work. Like last week or the week before. I've basically been off since March. Yeah, I work in like events and stuff, so we haven't had anything to do, and now we're kind of like just moving staff around within the sort of company and like the university I work for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been off the whole time, just trying to keep busy, I guess.
So you've been in furlough and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate personally about that. That we were covered and stuff. I think just largely because I do work for like a university.
Yeah.
Where we do get a little bit of extra cover, which has been helpful for me personally.
That's brilliant. That's great to hear, Ross. Thank you. So what about yourself, Josh?
I'm much the same, man. I've been on furlough since about the same time, and I just came off in October. So I work in retail, so it's been a bit weird, but it's fine. I don't really mind it. I had like holidays to take, so it's not. I've been on and off and on and off and on and off, so it's been a bit disjointed, but it's been all right. We've been managed to keep busy sort of through lockdown, so yeah, it's been all right.
We were hoping that we got our act together and stuff like that, but it appears to be going the wrong way again. But let's hope the restrictions aren't tight enough this time.
For sure.
But anyway, the reason why we're interviewing you, or one of the reasons, is you released your debut album, All Flesh is Grass, just over a year ago now. So how did it feel, first of all, to get the album out there for everyone to hear? Was it a long process, or was it quite smooth? Were there delays, or was it quite smooth in getting
out? I mean, it was, I suppose, yeah, quite a long process. I mean, Ross will be able to tell you himself. He'd been writing some of the material, had been around for a few years at that point. Some of it was brand new. Yeah. So it was a kind of a mix. But so in that sense, yeah, it was quite a long process. But I mean, it wasn't. We didn't. I think once everyone started getting sort of rolling and stuff like that with the vocals and stuff, it wasn't too much time at all to have it out there. So yeah, it was a pretty. I mean, I've never released an album before, so that was like my first experience of that, and it was really, it was very involved, and it was like a huge project to take on, especially since I've never written for an album, and then obviously releasing an album and performing a full album, all this kind of stuff, and having enough ideas and concepts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, pretty intense, but it was a good process overall.
Yeah. What do you think, Ross? Was it quite smooth, and did you want it to happen a lot quicker?
Yeah, it was overall, like, I guess quite, like Josh says, it's quite a long process, but like when you finally get to the point of like, right, the head's down, we're recording this, we're releasing this, like it was pretty quick at that point. Yeah. Like I think we took a few months, like on the sort of late end of 2018 into 2019 to kind of record it all. Yeah. And then from there, like we kind of turned it in and just, we did the videos and the artwork and stuff. And like, yeah, I guess it was kind of drawn out a little bit, but like relatively like plain sailing, I guess. Like I don't think back to it and think of any like major hiccups really. Like one or two things along the way, but like nothing to really like truly throw the whole thing off, which was nice. Yeah. 'Cause I'm kind of the same as Josh. Like I've worked on like stuff before, like in the background and like little bits and pieces here and there, like helping a couple of friends out, but I'd never done like an album like actually for myself. Yeah. And yeah, like we've had like good guidance and stuff along the way, and like I feel like internally we've always had a good mentality to release it. So that's kind of all helped add up as well. And yeah, it was a pretty painless process.
It must be like one of the proudest moments in your life, saying there's a CD. Oh, by the way, that's my picture in there, and that's my lyrics, and that's my riff that you're listening to. It must be a
first come down in Christmas. Like it honestly is, like Christmas is like kind of rubbish, but like for that, like all that sort of pent up thing, like especially for me as well, like working, and Josh is the same, I know, like you work all the way up to it, that's finally your day off, and then it's just nothing. It honestly, it was like that. Like it went out at like I guess midnight, and then we posted about it at 9 a.m, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different gratifying moments to me. Like the actual release date is almost an anticlimax, kind of like. So, because so often with these things, like it's the build up to it. There's moments in the recording or the writing process and the recording process where you feel like you've hit a real exciting moment, and they can be, some of the most exciting moments in that. And then the moment you get the first mix back, when you see the video, all this kind of stuff is so it's almost like, and like you were saying, kind of like seeing the actual artwork on a tangible thing that you can hold in your hand. I mean, all those moments are really exciting. So by the time you get to the release date, it's almost like, oh, okay, that's it. And then you're just like, whatever, who cares?
Well, you've had ample opportunity here. So with the lockdown, have you been using this time constructively and written more songs? And how are you guys communicating your ideas to each other then?
To be honest, there's not really much in the way of like a communication process with the songs. I write everything. So it's kind of just me in my house sitting here where I'm just now, I'll write, I'll tab it out, I'll do a pre-production, I'll send it to everybody. And that's about it in terms of like the sort of sharing of it. And then we'll get into like a final recording kind of later down the line. But like the past few months, like I was going to be writing anyway.
Yeah.
I'd always obviously like finished the first album and I'd already started writing before we'd even released it. Yes. So I naturally just kind of moved on from that, and I've just been kind of focusing on that really because I've not had anything else to do until like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess. So yeah, we've been kind of productive and stuff, like running in the background. It's unfortunately like kind of hard to show people at this point.
Yeah.
Up until about now, because I feel like everybody's kind of been trying to kind of say their piece without actually doing much. And it's just like the social media feeds have kind of become oversaturated in their own kind of way, even though nobody's really releasing that much. It's quite a strange thing to watch. So we've just kind of we've kept it ticking over, but just focused internally, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, obviously, Ross mentioned that it's all kind of written by him, and then he'll send us in like, here's a finished demo, and then I'll start, coming up with like lyrics and stuff like that, and sort of melodies or whatever. So really, the process from how we worked before hasn't really changed at all. That was how we always did it. The only thing is, we can't, and we've never been a band. Well, not since the early days. Where like when we started, we're not really a band who like gets into a rehearsal room to hash things out. We literally just rehearse when we need to play shows. So it's not really any different in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's been difficult, like, whether it's getting spaces to demo stuff or things like that when it actually comes to recording vocals or something like that can be a bit of a pain, but really it's not really changed anything hugely. And we've been writing, whether it's for stuff this our next release or like the release after that kind of thing. There's all sorts of different bits and pieces going on kind of all times. So yeah, it's exciting.
With you just saying the next release, now I don't know if you know that I know this. Is it true that is it November the 23rd? You're going to be releasing a new single. 22nd, you're going to be releasing a new single.
It's like Thursday the 26th, I think, is the official date.
Oh yeah. So it's a new single. So what can you tell us about the single?
Well, that was the thing. We just put a title and we were kind of just like, we'll just leave it at that. We won't say what it's going to be.
Well, I don't know if Jonathan told you, but this interview will go out after the single's been released.
Right. Okay. Cool. That's fine. So yeah, that makes it easier to say what we want to say then.
I noticed you weren't talking.
It's sort of one of two singles that we're releasing. It's called "You're No Exception," as we've kind of suggested in the sort of social media stuff. So, it's kind of, I don't know, like we honestly weren't really planning to release something this year. Had we been playing shows and things like that, I don't know whether we would release something, but I think it was just we wanted to leave some kind of mark on this year and like not waste a whole year, or you know, like in terms of what we show to people, you know, have something to show for a year.
Yeah.
So I think we were all just, you know, we had a lot of different ideas, and the songs came together really quickly. And these two songs, and we just thought, right, okay, let's do something with them, even though, you know, we don't know what's in store for the following year and like that. But
Yeah.
that was, we were just like, let's release something. So yeah, it's really exciting. I can't wait for people to hear them. I'm really proud of them.
So it's just a stopgap until the next, whether it's an EP or whether it's an album again. It's just letting people know that Godeater are still out there, they are still alive, and you're still fresh.
Yeah, basically that's it. Like, tried to like kind of, just because it's a little stopgap as well, like try to maybe factor in some new sort of sounds and like experiment a little bit as well. Like, obviously that's something we would want to do on every release, but like because of this, like the way it's come together, not necessarily at the last minute, but like a sort of deviation from where we would maybe have been going, like Josh says, it's given us a little more freedom, I guess.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, kind of do what we want, which I guess we kind of do anyway, but like, yeah, it's let us experiment in a way a little bit more. So yeah, I'm looking forward to for people to hear it as well. I think it'll sound, when people hear it, I think it'll sound like a logical progression for the band. Cover some new ground, cover some traditional ground, and yeah, I hope people enjoy it.
But you've not went to glam metal or anything like that, have you? No.
No, as much as me and our drummer Tim love it.
Cool. Well, that's actually what I was going to ask. So, for those that are new to the band, then how would you say it compares to your early material? And do you think that you found the sound that you've been looking for with your latest single, or do you see this as just a stepping stone to really where you want to be?
I don't think we talk about this quite a lot, and I don't think there's like a where we want to be. I think that will always change. I think we'll always, like, for me anyway, like we'll always want to do something that's different. And we definitely, like, for in terms of like, you know, a second album, we've got, you know, whether it's a lyrical vision, whether it's a musical kind of direction, like I think that is that thing. But this is kind of something that's maybe somewhere in between. It hints at where that's gonna go, like and it like Ross said, it's kind of let us try new things, like whether it's vocally, like that kind of thing, and just kind of and lyrically as well. It's kind of new territory for us. So we've kind of, there's stuff that I think if you like the album, if you liked even our first EP, there's some really, really extreme stuff in there, like probably the most extreme we've had in some bits.
Yeah.
But there's also, like, you know, an expansion. So it's not like we've totally ditched something and went somewhere else. It's kind of just growing and adding more, I suppose, and into as much as you can do in two songs.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to hearing it. Like, but you keep on answering my next questions first.
Sorry.
So, with you being the vocalist for the band, Josh, do you take care of all the lyrics, or do you welcome contributions for the other band members as well?
I tend to do it all myself. I just find it, because I suppose, like, I'm not someone who, I think that's something to do with, you know, the way that Ross writes the music. Ross writes it in a way that it's got a beginning, middle, and end, and especially for the album, I think you can hear that, where there's like different points to it. So for me, it was very much a case of having to write a full story, that almost like almost like a film kind of thing. Because I think like sometimes the music reminds me of a film score. So I'm trying to communicate something that is that, as opposed to like, here's a song about this, here's a song about that, here's a song about that. Like, you'll have a central concept, and then you build a beginning, middle, and end from that. So for me, it's easier if I just do that myself. Like, I really enjoy writing lyrics, and I enjoy coming up with stuff and taking time, moving things about. You know, it's like a big jigsaw or something like that. Like, so I take a lot of pride in that, and it's something I really enjoy doing. So maybe, I mean, I don't know if like people might contribute in the future, but at the moment, yeah, since Exsanguinated, it's just been me kind of contributing lyrics. Yeah.
So you said about the lyrics for the new single, then they're different. So are you saying that they're darker, or the way are you looking at Egyptian mythology or something like that, or what is it you're doing with the lyrics that are different this time?
Well, it was and it wasn't a reaction to All Flesh is Grass All Flesh is Grass kind of lyrical concept. I think I just wanted to. I wanted to write something that's still, you know, socially conscious, but maybe, you know, going in a different direction than environmental stuff. Not because I'm not interested in that, or because like I was like to be contrarian or anything like that. But I don't want to be. I don't want the band to be pigeonholed into you know, having a certain lyrical narrative always associated with it. Because I think if you hold on to that for too long, when you eventually do get bored of it, people don't always react to that well. So I'd rather just keep people guessing and keep doing something different every single release. Yeah. And I think that's what I've gone for. So yeah, it's still a very like socially conscious, political kind of politically motivated kind of pair of songs, but you know, I think it's different enough from what we've done before that I don't feel like I'm just either repeating myself or boring people by just covering the same ground. So yeah.
Oh, excellent, thank you very much, Josh. So you also released videos from the debut album like Silent Spring and Inertia Haze. So is there a plan to release a video to coincide with the new single, or has COVID put that to bed for just now, or is it just going to be a single release?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna. I think we're planning on doing. We've filmed. I keep saying we're gonna do as if I can't. I guess if it's gonna be out, it doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, we've filmed a video for each single, and the songs are connected, so too are the videos as well. Yeah. I think we would have, had we had more time, I think we probably would have done another video for a song from the album. I think we were kind of planning that over the summer, but I think once everything happened, it kind of, I don't know, it felt like across the board, like the shelf life of albums, even if you released your album at the start of this year or something like that, the shelf life was absolutely decimated for an album. So you can see that everywhere, like bands, you know, like Code Orange, like it's such a shame for them because they've had to they've kept doing all this stuff, and that's so great for it. Like it's such a cool thing that they've kept going and kept trying to, you know, find new ways for people to be interested in their band. But you know, it's a shame that or Trivium or something like that they can't roll out that album in the way they would have wanted to. So in some ways, yeah, it was a bit of a shame that we didn't get to do more for All Flesh is Grass, but it just felt like, okay, well, that's the way of things. We've just got to move forward and keep going. So I think, yeah, and we took, you know, some of the concepts from what that video would have been. I've kind of made it into this in some ways. So yeah, as I say, yeah, we've filmed 2 videos to answer your question.
I mean, certainly when you send us the stuff, like send the stuff to Multiple Times, and we'll certainly plug it up and we'll put it on and stuff like that. So we'll definitely do our bit to promote it for you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
So Ross, was there anything, do you think, that you've done differently between recording of the debut album to that of the EP Interstellar that you'll maybe take going forward to the next release? Well, in this case, it's going to be the single. Did you do anything differently with the single than you did with the other recordings?
In terms of the actual like physical recording, like I've recorded myself playing guitar as long as I've played guitar, more or less. Like yeah. I've been playing like, I guess probably 14 or 15 years now. I've always had like, I had a little 8-track and then I had like an M box or like another interface, and I've just moved on from there. And like when we started the band, it was a bit like, oh, Ross can record like stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, like cool. I didn't really anticipate on this. Like I kind of know what I'm doing, but like I'd never edited drums before. I'd never edited guitars. I'd never edited anything. And I had to like sit and like learn from scratch, like going through all these like the Andy Sneap forum, which is like obviously a forum is like a ghost town now because everybody's moved on to like Facebook or whatever. Like reading up like not even tutorials, but like just random comments from like internet strangers about how to do it. And like every time we've kind of done a release, I've like refined that process and like tried out what works, what doesn't work, what I like, what maybe doesn't fit for this production. Like, for example, on the stuff we've just recorded, like I've tried to quad track the guitars a bit more, like rather than just a left and a right, I've got sometimes they're doubled up again. Just I thought that gave it a little more texture in places, and like especially with the vocals as well, like that's been like a really huge kind of area for development for both of us. Like when I think back to doing that EP, I think it's like 6 vocal tracks. It's like the bare minimum, and that's all we did, and I didn't really know any better. But then as you kind of go on and you get involved in or look at bigger productions, you realize how much is actually in there, whether it's doubling or quad tracking or accents or anything like that. And yeah, the vocal production certainly for me has been a big kind of step up, and just production style, I guess, like because I record all of it for us as well, and then we send it away to be mixed and mastered. Like that's been like a huge thing for me to, because somebody else isn't producing the record, I have to kind of set the tone of it almost, just myself. So I guess really working on that as well, and like kind of knowing where things are going off the bat, like, and what's working, what's not working. And like, I mean, even down to silly things like file management, to sending it away to someone. Like I've done that completely different this time because the person we've sent it to wanted something different than I'd done before. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that.
You're looking back now that you've got more experience in, would you like to go back to early material and do it again?
We have talked about it just as a kind of casual thing. Like it comes up in the van, it comes out, like if we're talking about it, but it kind of set a bit of a time period for the band. Like Outer Stellar belongs in 2017. That's, I don't really like, we'll still play a couple of tunes from it maybe, but
in 5 years time you can have a compilation, the early years or something like that, you know.
It'll still be less than like an hour long.
So things seem to be fairly settled in the band members front with Godeater then. So when constructing new material with the band members having their own personal taste in music, as in glam metal, as we've just found out, how would you say you keep it all together, for example, when negotiating what stays in and what goes out of a song?
To be honest, I kind of mentioned this before, but like there isn't really a negotiation process. There's just me going, here's my song, I finished it. And that's kind of it. Like the guys obviously chime in a little bit on a final mix.
I was going to say, does Andrew bring his own riffs as well? Does he add things to it?
No, the door's open, like for anybody to really bring in a song or bring in an idea, but
not open.
It is like, if anybody wants to bring in a thing, like, yeah, cool, I'll look at it. But for now it is just me. And yeah.
So do you have arguments with yourself and stuff like that, saying, no, that was shit or whatever?
I've got like a little like a Dropbox folder on here, and it's full of like finished, in progress, like good, could be good, not as good, and then it just kind of filters down, and like I'll chop up stuff, I'll change it. And I think that's like a lot of the reason why I don't send the band anything before it's finished, because it gives them like, this is it, I've been around the houses with this for hours, days, weeks, months, potentially even like over a year in some cases.
Yeah,
I've tried like every possible combination to get this to work.
Yeah,
and this is just it. Whereas I find if you maybe open the door to like an unfinished product, I guess product maybe isn't the right word for it there, but like it's harder for other people to maybe get an idea of where I'm going with that, or to get a context with it. So I do show clips and stuff from time to time, but generally I like to just go with a finished idea. And because I've spent so long on the production, I think everybody's got the kind of faith in me to just be like, that's it, it's done.
So what you're saying is the other band members are lazy then?
No, the exact opposite. Like those guys can like play, like honestly, like, so I like write the stuff, but like trying to play it, I'm like, oh, do I really have to? Like everybody else does like a better job of it.
Good stuff, thanks for that. So so in normal times then, where do you record and where do you rehearse your songs? Where's your practice room and stuff?
We don't have a practice room. I'd like to, but our drummer doesn't live in Glasgow. He lives down south, all the way down in sunny Bournemouth. So like we really only practice when we've got shows.
Yeah.
Like there's a real kind of trust there that like everybody does their part at home. They rehearse their parts at home, and then when the time comes to record, we'll just go to the place and record, or go to the show, like the rehearsal room for the show, and everybody will just have it done. And we play to a click, obviously, because of all the samples and stuff. So like what's on record is what you practice at home, it's what's in the practice room, and it's what's live. So that brings an element of sort of consistency, which definitely helps to actually cut down the overall rehearsal time. Like I'd love to have a rehearsal space even just for storage, because like you can see behind me, there's like just merch and stuff, and like a lot of our like kind of gear, guitar rig and stuff is here at my house. But yeah, in terms of the recording, like I do all the guitars and bass kind of recording the other guys and myself like here just at my desk. And then for vocals, generally speaking, we use a friend's studio space or a rehearsal space, like depending on what we're using at the time. And then drums kind of varies depending on how we've had to approach a project or what we've had available, really. So it's a mixed bag, and I just cart my laptop about and record it all when I have to.
I mean, I was going to say a lot of it comes down to money at the end of the day. Like it would be lovely to have a rehearsal space. I would love to see the guys, you know, every week and play in a room with them, and you know, because you know there is some things that you just need to have in a rehearsal room to know how it's going to feel live, like as much as you can rehearse. And usually, you know, we do get that, but like it would be like Ross was saying, like it's just so good to have like a space to do something. Or if we could afford to fly Tim up, you know, that would be great. But like I think that's something that we would like in the future. But you know, I think whether it's for COVID reasons or whether it's for financial reasons, you know, like it's just so much more efficient just to kind of do things on the fly as we need them, as opposed to like affording like a space that we constantly have, you know.
Yeah, we'll kind of touch on that actually. Like generally speaking, like because we don't rehearse like every week, like we used to, but like, you know, people have lives, and if you're touring more, you need more time off work, and like anything to kind of cut that time down is a big help. But normally like we're out doing shows enough, like we're in the van, everybody's kind of talking in there, and you've done the rehearsal and you've done the tour. Whereas this year, because we're all kind of spread out, like I've barely even seen, you know, I've seen Josh more than everybody else because like we had to do the vocal recording and stuff, but like I've hardly seen the other guys. And like I feel like you discuss more and feel more involved as a band.
Yeah.
You're in the van, when you're in the rehearsal space, when you're on the tour. Whereas this year, because we've all just been stuck in our houses, it's quite a polarizing like effect on the feeling of what it's like to be in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame, but unfortunately that's how this year's kind of gone.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. With COVID, I take it, obviously it's been bad that you couldn't meet and stuff like that, but has it made you concentrate on other aspects of the band, like the social media side of the band, the marketing side of the band and stuff? Has it made you now concentrate more on that? And
yeah, we've kind of kept it ticking over for the past 6 or 7 months, but yeah, we are kind of working on the background, like going into this new release and into next year certainly, to sort of improve that on the back end, I guess you could call it, and make it a little more cohesive, and yeah, just kind of keep it quality, I guess, and just make it more engaging for people.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I've just had the wee warning there from Zoom saying that we've got 10 minutes. So I've just got a few questions. So there's obviously going to be no live shows in the near future. But I see that you guys are playing Badgerfest in October next year. So is Badgerfest something that you're looking forward to playing?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're looking forward to playing it this October. Because that would probably, because obviously we had Leached cancelled like at the very start of, like that was the weekend of, and we're like, oh, that's a shame. We'll at least got that to look forward to, and then it got moved. But yeah, I was really looking forward to playing Badgerfest. I mean, I absolutely love Manchester. It's like one of my favourite cities, like in the UK. Great. So I'm always happy to play there. And there's some really cool bands in the lineup as well. So yeah, it would have been a great time, but it will be a great time just in a year's time.
So how did you get on Badgerfest then? Did John Badger? I've interviewed him. He's a really nice guy. So did TC play, or did they just phone you up or anything like that, or how did you get onto the gig?
Like he's pretty active on like Facebook and stuff, and I know he's got the kind of Badgerfest group, but like yeah, I guess he hit up our booking agent and asked if we wanted to play, and yeah, we were happy to, because it seems like a good sort of all-dayer kind of show. Yeah. And like kind of smaller things are really important to fans and like bands and organizers alike. Like it's a real sort of like, it's a small community almost, which I guess John is something I can see he tries to do online. Yeah. So yeah, it really just was, he must have sent an offer to a request to our booking agent saying he was interested, and they passed it on, and yeah, we went for it.
Yeah. It's certainly grown every year. It's been going to a different and bigger venue every year, so he's certainly creating a name for himself down there. I mean, you've got to look at the headliners. It was going to be, well, Zentrix aren't playing it anymore, but you've got Rage and Speedhorn have just released an album after so many years, so he's definitely making a bigger name for himself. But yeah, I've tried to get down the last couple of years and actually got a ticket for this year, so I was looking forward to going down as well, but I'll be there next year.
Oh, will we all be well?
Yeah, hopefully all this crap will be over and done with. By the way, it's so refreshing to do an interview where you can talk fast and you don't need to put subtitles in the telly and stuff like that. But anyway, so I might be showing my age a wee bit here. So before the internet, then magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends. So now publications have been replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. So do you think that some of the passion has been lost, or do you think that the internet has been a good thing for music and a good thing for Godeater as well?
So on you go, Russ.
Yeah, I think it has been. I just think it's kind of changed format a little bit. Yeah. Like magazines and stuff are obviously still exist, but they're not like as popular. Like I think the reader base is maybe a little bit older. Whereas on the internet, I see the passion people have for music, especially heavy music, like on a daily basis. Like there are all sorts of like Facebook groups for like really niche specific subgenres or like subreddits, and people just sharing bands like constantly and like just so enthused by it. And like those are the people who are literally buying like merch and keeping bands kind of going just now, and always anyway, I guess.
I would completely disagree with the notion that the passion has gone anywhere. I think that it's just like Ross said, it's just changed format. There's still like, I mean, I'm not exactly like, I'm 26, so I'm not super young. So like, I still have like massive stacks of metal hammers in my room that, like, and that's how I found out about bands, when I was kind of getting into metal. But there's still, I see when we play shows and stuff like that, I see the person that I was 10 years ago, like in the audience, like losing their shit, like really loving it kind of thing. And I'm like, that to me, that will never probably go away. Like it might change, you might have less people into one genre and more into another kind of thing, but like you're always going to get young people that are like excited about music. I don't think that's ever going to change. Like obviously there's huge problems with like Spotify, things like that. Like, and I suppose the commodities or the music as a non-commodity almost is like is an argument in itself, but I don't think that's ever going to change with young people getting into music and hopefully metal as well.
Quite right. I mean, I've been speaking to a couple of guys that I've known since 1990, so I'm a wee bit older than 26. And it was like putting a pound note in an envelope and sending it to the band, and you're getting a letter back and a cassette, and it was just waiting for the postman to come through the door anymore. It was all that excitement, Now it's just click,
Yeah. Which is its own way, like, because you like there's ways that we can communicate with bands now as fans in ways you never could do before, and like for better and worse, do you know what I mean? But like I think there's definitely benefits to be had from that, and it's like, okay, so you lose some of the mystery, but like I would have been so excited, like especially when I was a young teenager, to be able to communicate directly with a band that I loved. Like that's so cool,
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid we've only got like 4 minutes, so I'm hoping that's long enough for you to tell me that the instruments that you use. So we'll start off with you, Ross, because he'll probably be talking for ages, Josh, you know what I mean?
I can make a can make it quick.
Tell us what guitars you used to record your material then. What did you use to record the single?
So I use just Ibanez these days. I've got a couple of like older prestige models that I bought them off eBay, and just they're great. Like total like hardworking guitars.
6 or 7 string.
What?
6 or 7 string.
Just a 6.
Just,
we've never gone beyond that. I thought about it for a minute, but nah, I'll stick to like what I know. And Andy's just using an ESP Horizon. It's a lovely guitar. That's like the only thing that's really kind of picked up my interest in the past few years. And I've been like, I'd move to that if I could afford it.
So what pedals do you use?
None.
None?
Not a single one, nah. I've still got my like amp heads and stuff behind me, and I've still got a couple of pedals on my shelf. But yeah, I switched to a Kemper Profiler a couple of years ago. Well, I've had it for about like 5 or 6 years, but like we switched to it live like 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. And just the only pedal I've got is a tuner. Like all the Kemper does everything, and I've got all the patch changes just on the laptop, so it does it all for me. And Andy's the same, but he uses an Axe Effects rather than the Kemper.
That's excellent. Thank you very much for that. So Josh, being the vocalist then, have you went through a variety of like microphones or anything like that before you've settled on the one that you like?
I bought an SM50 Beta like 3 years ago, and it's battered and stinking now. Like it's absolutely wrecked, but I've never not used that. It's so reliable, and I've booted it about the floor, like dropped it countless times. I'll never change it. Well, unless it breaks, I'll never change it. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely fine.
So what do you do like to prepare for a gig? Because obviously your vocals are they're rough, you know. How do you prepare for that? Like
I try and not eat anything too acidic while on tour. I try not to talk too much while in the van, which is really, really hard when you're around your pals down. But yeah, try and do that. And then I've got like a 20-minute kind of just the kind of warm up you would do if you were just a normal singer.
Yeah.
Same stuff basically. And yeah, just try not to shout, try not to like speaking very quietly throughout the day, that kind of thing. Just making sure I'm resting as much as I can, especially if you got like there was the last time we had it was like what was it 9? The Harbinger one last year was like 9 shows day after day kind of thing. So I thought I was gonna like I'm gonna lose my voice 4 days in because I've never done anything like this before, but like I was loving it. Once you got past the day 7, it was so bizarre. It was like they just reset or something like that, and they were just as fresh as the first day kind of thing. So it's just, you know, keeping it ticking over, making sure you're getting plenty of sleep and stuff like that, and plenty of sort of water and stuff. So yeah. What's that?
Don't smoke.
No, absolutely not.
Well, it's about to end the video here, so can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, and certainly when the single's coming out, forward it on to us, we'll review it and we'll get the video up as well. We'll certainly do our bit to promote a fellow Glaswegian band in Godeater. So thanks for joining us, Josh and Ross. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Ricky. Thanks very much.
Cheers now. Yeah.